The views expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community, as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Hi everyone, welcome to Insights. I'm your host, Alyssa McCann. Today we'll be sitting down with Paul Kruger from Mid-Michigan Health Center as he's here to talk about mental health. Thank you for joining us, Paul.
You're welcome.
So if you want to get into a little bit about the importance of mental health and how important is it and why is it important to people know that there is even a whole month dedicated to it?
Sure, so mental health is very important. The reason it's so important is because without good mental health, it's hard to function in everyday life. It's hard to do your job without good mental health. It's hard to raise a family. It's hard to do pretty much anything unless you're mentally healthy.
And for your specific job as a social worker, how often do you see people who are in need of some help?
I see it on a daily basis. As I work with our inpatient patients. I work with a lot of patients that are experiencing stressors in their life, which often lead to mental health disorders, especially depression and anxiety. So I work with it on a daily basis.
And I know we talked a little bit about what this community does for people who need help. And do you think that this community is very supportive and helpful for people who are in need of help?
There are a lot of options out there for people that are experiencing mental health disorders. Various options include our inpatient setting, which can be accessed through the emergency room. There's also various outpatient clinics that offer both therapy and psychiatry. One of which includes behavioral health services here at the hospital. And then there's also many primary care physicians that offer now therapists and also psychiatry.
That's great. And for families or anyone who is worried about someone that they may know who has some issues, are there any signs or any type of assessment that they can do that they can recognize the issue and come to you guys and be able to explain what's going on?
Sure. So some of the warning signs, I guess, is what you're looking for. And so some of the warning signs for someone that's experiencing depression and anxiety specifically, let's say, would be a decrease in their appetite. It could be or they could be eating more than normal. So it could go either way. It could be a decrease or increase in their sleep habits. It could be that they're becoming more irritable. It could be that they're starting to have thoughts of wanting to end their life. It could be thoughts of wanting to harm other people. It could also be, those are the primary signs that to look for.
And I know we talked a little bit about how with kids there's almost like a rise with suicide and even wanting to hurt themselves. And I personally feel that social media takes a huge toll on that. Like we were saying, you don't know who's behind it, but someone's saying these cruel and awful things that really hurt people and make them question themselves and their lives.
Absolutely. And and that is a big thing even with both kids and adults, but specifically kids, because they are the generation that uses social media the most. The best way for them to get help, it's important for kids to know that they don't have to just take it. It's good. They need to get some help. It's okay to, it's not a sign of weakness for them to go to a parent. It's not a sign of weakness for them to go to a school administrator. If they don't get help, it can lead to things to be bad. It could lead to them to start to having thoughts of wanting to end their life. Things like that. There's a lot of reasons to seek help.
And are there any specific things that maybe you've seen trending wise of, why people come to get help? Is there anything specific?
Why people come to get help? People come to get help because they're not only, it could be them recognizing that there's a problem, but it could also be their family recognizing, hey, you just haven't been the same lately. Maybe you need to get some help. Maybe you need to get some assessment. So that's the primary reason. And there will be some people that aren't willing to come in on their own. They say, no, I don't need this help. And there are options for them as well. If as a family member, if you feel like your loved one needs help, it's still okay to try to get them to the emergency room for some type of assessment. Another option would be to deal with your local probate court. They can help you on getting them some help, especially if they're at risk of harming themselves or others.
As a social worker, you deal with a lot of families. Do you find that people need the support of family members while they're going through something, or is it better for them to handle it on their own, specifically with mental health?
Sure, it's gonna really, we work on an individual basis. Some patients really find it helpful to have their families involved. They like having that support. Other patients, they have a hard time having their family so involved. And sometimes part of the reason they're experiencing stress is due to their family. So it just depends on the person. Family can play a major role in a person's mental health, and the family can, like I said before, help them recognize some of their signs and symptoms, but also friends can help them recognize signs and symptoms. And for individuals that may not have family members available, friends can act just as good sometimes, if not even better at times, for support.
Right, so having that support system
Yeah.
really is,
It's
a helpful situation for them.
Yeah, it is a helpful situation, and it is a benefit in their recovery. We find the patients that have a strong support system are able to recover faster, or seek treatment faster. So the faster you seek treatment and the faster you get better, the better you'll feel.
And typically, how long are these treatment processes for people? It could be lifelong, right?
Absolutely.
They could see somebody throughout their whole life if they really feel the need, or are there specific programs that people go through and they move up on the ladder and they
Sure.
find success?
Sure. So depression specifically and anxiety, specifically depression though, is a chemical imbalance in your brain. So it is something that you're going to need lifetime treatment for, whether it be through medication or therapy. Some patients find that during the initial onset, they're going to need medication and therapy in the beginning. And then down the road, they may just need one or the other. But if it is a chemical imbalance, more than likely that patient will need to be on medication.
And the thing with anxiety, it's a small thing, but almost everybody has it, and people don't realize it is a big thing in someone's life, and it really can affect your day to day.
Sure.
So how do people go about anxiety issues with you guys?
Sure. So how do they get treatment for
Yes.
the anxiety? Okay, so the best way is to call any of the outpatient facilities and request an assessment. The social workers are trained in recognizing the symptoms of depression, anxiety, all of the DSM-5 diagnosis. So the social worker will look for signs of anxiety, which would include, things like not being able to sit still, maybe not being able to go outside, not being able to go to work, things along those lines are some, examples of what a social worker could look for or a therapist could look for.
We have to take a short break, but we will be right back with Paul going more in depth about mental health. Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Alyssa McCann, and today we're sitting down with Paul Kruger from Mid-Michigan Health Center. He's a social worker here, and we're here to talk about the importance of mental health.
Yes.
And do you find that people are embarrassed to say that they're feeling a certain way or, have certain things going on? Do you think that that's a big hump that people try to get over, that they're a little bit embarrassed about coming in? And
Absolutely, yeah. We find that a lot in a lot of patients, that they are, they let their pride get in the way. And they do find themselves thinking that it's that they're a lesser of a person if they have a mental health diagnosis. But there are many people that have a mental health diagnosis and are very, very successful. Many even celebrities or even our leaders of our countries, have mental health diagnosis, and they're very successful.
So basically, there is a light at the end of the tunnel for people who are going through things like this.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. The best, the best way to, the best way to seek treatment and to get treatment is to be self-aware too. And not be in denial about what's going on. Which can be very hard for people. Because it's you stating that you have some type of flaw, right? And but if you are able to recognize that, hey, I need some help, and I can be a better person if I get some help, or I can be better at my job, I can be better with my family, if I just get some help.
And I know a lot of people say, to have great mental health, you have to have great physical health, and all aspects of your life really lead to great mental health. So what are some things people can work on?
Right. So aspects, things that people can work on with their mental health would be their diet, specifically. Depending on, like for instance, someone experiencing anxiety, they're not going to want to drink a lot of caffeine, because caffeine can increase your heart rate, which can make it feel, your anxiety worse. They're going to want to, and then like for people with depression, you're going to want to stay away from things like high sugar things, because what that will do is it will make you feel worse. It'll bring your levels, down, and make you feel worse. So, and then like you said, exercise is also very important. A lot of times when a patient is feeling depressed, just being able to get up and walk around, that gives them that motivation to get up, and it gives them that motivation to feel better.
Would you say that people finding their little niche of what makes them happy is really helpful to them mentally and even, all around health?
Sure, absolutely. It's good. But when you're feeling good, a good tip I like to use is to write down some things that make you happy, and even if it's keeping a journal of things that make you happy, so that when you are feeling depressed, you can refer to that and say, hey, these are some things I can do on my own to make myself feel better.
And I know we touched on it a little bit, but people don't want to feel different than anyone else, So for them to come here, it really is a huge step for them, I'm sure, and their families. So how do you guys, try to make people feel comfortable and let them know they're not alone by any means?
Sure. So what we do is we spend the first, with the first session, we will do a lot of assessing and gathering of information, so that can feel intimidating to the patients as well. But what we try to do is just make them feel like they're not alone. We kind of explain to them that this is it is common to experience depression and anxiety. Throughout the next few sessions, we will work on building a rapport with that patient and building a relationship with that patient, and so that they feel comfortable talking to us, so that they feel comfortable bringing to us their problems or things that might be bothering them.
So it is very important for people to come in here, feel comfortable, and feel like they're in an environment where everything is safe between the walls that they're in.
Right, exactly. And what we do is we make sure during the first few, especially the first session, that they know everything here is confidential. You know, everything that is said here stays here, unless it is something that we're mandated to report. Everything that is said here stays here. You know, and that things that they share with us are confidential.
Great. And for state funding, do you guys, I don't know if you know a lot about this or not, but do you guys get enough money? Do you feel like there could be more money put into this, or what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, obviously, a lot of the patients that we deal with here are private insurance, but as far as the state funding, you know, we do see patients that have what's known as Obamacare, and those patients may be at risk of, you know, losing their services should cuts happen with the state or the federal government funding. So, you know, that is always a worry. You know, now with those patients, what we would have to do is look at referring them possibly to other agencies. But if we can keep them, you know, here, obviously that would be the most beneficial to them, because every time you experience some type of change with a therapist or a psychiatrist, it is hard to build that rapport with the patient again.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's difficult for them to feel comfortable again with somebody else.
Exactly.
I see.
Exactly.
So what is one thing you would like the community to know about mental health? Is there any advice or anything that you can tell them or give to them that will make them feel a little bit better about this, maybe the situation that they are in, or just mental health as a whole, what you want people to be aware of?
I guess the biggest thing that I want people to be aware of is that it's not, and I did mention this already, but it's not something to be ashamed of. It's something that many Americans struggle with. Many Americans don't seek treatment for it, but if they were to seek treatment for it, they could feel, you know, they could be working to their best potential, you know, with their work and their family. So that's the biggest thing, you know, is that it's nothing to be ashamed of.
We have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back as we talk more about mental health. Hello everyone and welcome back. We're sitting down with Mary Crittenden from Northeast Michigan Community Health Center. Mary and I sat down to talk about the importance of mental health. So what is the importance of mental health?
Well, mental health affects many individuals, whether it's ourselves it affects or those that we work with or family or friends. So it's very common. So it affects individuals more so than what they're probably even aware of on a daily basis.
Do you think that the community does enough to highlight the issues surrounding mental health?
The community is doing a much better job than historically we have done. Currently, there's a huge trauma initiative going on within the community to educate individuals in all capacities: hospitals, schools, clinics, community mental health, of course, foster care, CPS, to really talk about mental health when we're working with individuals, whether it's parents, families, children. There's much more of an opportunity for training within the community, so we're getting there.
And for people with mental health, how important is it to have safe spaces for them to go and talk to somebody, especially young kids, with bullying being such an issue in schools? How important is it for schools in places like this for kids to come and have a safe space to talk?
It's a priority. It really is. It truly is. They have to have the ability to be able to know that they can talk about it and that there is some place for them to go where they can share what their experience has been.
And with mental health, is it usually something that, you know, someone is born with, or do they develop things because of traumatic situations that have happened to them?
It can be both. It can be something certainly they're born with, and based on circumstances in their life, they can develop mental health symptoms and diagnoses because of those situations.
What were the signs of mental health?
Signs of mental health would include when you see any changes in behavior, mood, thinking, functioning, or even if you're not even very familiar with somebody, but you suspect concerns with any of those areas, those are definitely initial signs that there could be some mental health concerns.
When you see patients or when patients come in here, what is your number one goal for them and their families?
Is to get them the help that they need, whether it's here at this agency or elsewhere in the community. We definitely want to link them with resources to help them resolve the presenting problems or any symptoms they may be having.
Are there ways to assess people? You know, if you have a feeling that, say, one of your family members is going through something, is there ways to assess them?
Well, we have individuals who can always call here Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and they can always run scenarios by an on-call clinician here. But if you have to trust your gut feeling, if there's ever any concern that something may be wrong, we just need to ask. We can't ignore it. We need to ask. We need to listen. We need to be empathetic and kind and allow individuals to open the door for opportunity to possibly seek services. So if at any time anyone has a mental health crisis or any mental health concerns and they're currently not receiving services, or even if they are, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, we have crisis walk-in hours here at Northeast Michigan Community Mental Health. And during holidays and after hours, there is a hotline you can call called Third Level that will offer assistance.
And I know there are ways for people to work on their mental health and their mental being, not just by being here, but you know, a lot of people say like working out or having a healthy diet is all helpful to mental health. So what would you say for that?
Absolutely, and we really encourage that for whether it's mild, moderate, severe symptoms. Definitely we look at, you know, every aspect. So physical health and mental health really run hand in hand, and it's very important to attend to both of them.
Is there something or anything you think that the community can do, you know, we often hear on the radio that there's apparent suicides and things like that. So is there anything more that the community can do to help these people and let people know, like, there is help out there for you?
Yeah, I think that we need to remember that we don't know what is going on in someone else's life. So if they're presenting as odd or if there's possibly a difference in them, that we don't know what's going on the other end. So it's incredibly important for us to be kind to one another and to, again, I can't stress this enough, not to ignore it and to reach out and simply ask, because possibly nobody has ever asked them, and that's what they need in order for them to open that opportunity up to possibly seek treatment.
That's all the time we have. I hope you all learned a lot about mental health. Join us next time on Insights. Thanks for watching.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.
The furniture and set design for this episode of Insights is provided by Young Appliance Art Van Furniture on US 23 South, Alpena.